Welcome to the Bobby Choo Podcast.
Yes, welcome to the Bobby Choo Podcast.
I don't even remember what episode it is, but this is the rebrand.
Yes, this is the rebrand. So this is episode
the Bobby
1.
Choo Podcast. Yes, episode 1 of our new rebrand.
Yes.
And we have a very special guest today.
Very special. He's dressed the best.
He actually
We
is
both look
dressed
like we
the
came
best.
out the house.
He used to have blue hair as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to have blue hair.
Your blue hair is famous.
Should we just? Yeah, maybe he should introduce
Yeah, he
himself.
should introduce himself.
We'll just say his name is John, and
John
we'll
is
let
a good
him take
name.
it from there. Yeah, John's a very good name. So our new guest for today, the one that will usher us into our new rebrand,
Yes.
is this guy called John. So hi, John.
Hi, I feel a little bit shortchanged. I was looking forward to that typical
Yeah.
experience where you say all the best
Yeah.
things about
You
me,
gotta
that I
have,
look all
give his
humble.
accolades, all the award he's
And then I'll
win.
be like, no, you're being too kind. But
Let
fine.
him introduce. So
Make
asking
me
a guest
introduce
speaker,
myself.
hey bro, introduce
Hey,
yourself.
bro, why don't you introduce yourself now?
It's all right. Hi, my name is John O. I'm probably best known as the former vocalist of Malaysian band Paperplane Pursuit.
Ooh, yes.
Hey.
Yeah, that's about it actually.
Okay, that's it. The podcast is done.
I'm a songwriter, or I was a songwriter, producer, artist for a couple of years.
Right.
I also do voiceovers primarily for ads. And right now I run my own business producing podcasts and YouTube videos for clients.
So the fun fact that I knew about John, right, is that apparently I heard his voice first before I met the person.
Wow.
Really?
Because he does a lot of voiceovers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So like I would imagine I would have heard his voice and not knowing that it's John O,
Right.
and then seeing John O in
So
the flesh.
what was the voice you heard? What was
I think
that?
probably a Max's ad.
Oh, Max's head?
No, that's not me. No.
What?
You're so tired.
Oh, you're so tired. I
It's
knew
not me.
it. When it sounds so familiar.
No.
But no, I think probably a Max's ad or something like that. Or
I've been
like
getting a lot of comments about some Maxis ads that I did, but I'm terrible with voiceovers. The
Alright.
moment I finished the recording,
Ah, yeah?
well, like people are like, what did you record today? I was like, I don't know, man.
Just memory, just.
I just read the
But you
script
love
and
all your
that's it.
clients though.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you love all
Clients
the
the best.
Love for all the
Amazing.
clients.
I see. Well, again, thank you so much, Jono, for being up to be on this very small podcast and just
Yeah.
kind of speak to us. The main thing what we wanted to talk about is that as we're thinking about Bobby Choo Podcast and in terms of what the idea of that was always just to take, because Johnson and I talk a lot about audio. We also do audio for different churches.
Yep.
And we're on staff team. We do music. We branch out in different areas of music. And we just wanted to, we found that, there was not really anybody in KL or in Asia talking about it.
Right.
But we know a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's
so,
true, yeah.
and then so we just thought, why don't we just film it on a podcast and just put it out and see what happens. And from our first few episodes, we've been receiving a lot of like very encouraging feedback, which is very, very encouraging, which I'm
Very
never expecting.
Yeah.
But
I
I
actually
We thought
enjoyed
people
the
would be like, this
episodes
is trash. These guys don't know nothing.
I enjoyed actually the
Oh,
episodes
thanks.
that I heard as well.
Yeah, thanks. So I think when we were thinking about rebranding, because we also saw that a lot of our views and ads weren't growing as how we would like, and I think because we were hitting too much of a niche, we were going for like church audio.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
church audio, obviously
That's
you're Christian,
very specific
and
niche.
like niche of a niche of a niche.
Yes.
So I think when we thought we were kind of like thinking about like, what we ran wrong or why aren't we growing as
Yeah,
big
yeah.
as we were. One of the things that we thought was that basically, and what we want to do in rebranding is basically kind of shine a light on about the music industry in KL.
Yep.
And actually, there are a lot of Christians doing music, and actually, it's very accessible. And
Yeah.
and we just want to encourage Asians, Singaporeans, Malaysians, or kind of people who are young or who are just like figuring out their way through music
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's possible. It's actually very, very possible, and
Yeah.
it's not like what we were thinking about back then, where it's super hard, very, there's the pad. You have to almost reach a certain barrier before you can break in.
Yeah, it's
but
either,
very
it's either
accessible
you're
now.
really professional
Yeah.
or like you're like
None.
It's either you're none.
Yeah.
You know, it's either you're there or you're not there.
Yeah.
But I think it's like the contrary. There is an industry.
Yes.
There is it's a thriving industry.
Yeah.
There are people who are actually working, going to work every day,
Yes.
earning money, paying their bills.
Yeah.
Having families.
Exactly.
I think this is the side that a lot of people don't
Yeah.
see.
That's true.
Yeah.
Especially in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I mean, in just Asia in general.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive straight in. First question, John, we got for you is, could you just tell us in a very nutshell how was your background like? What is your background from a young kid to how did Paperplane Pursuit come up to be?
How did
And-
I want to know the name.
Yeah,
Paperplane Pursuit.
yeah. Let's start there.
Yeah, let's
Life
start there.
story.
Okay.
I was probably interested in music for as long as I can remember. My family likes to tell this story about us going on some family road trip, and I was too young to speak, so maybe 2.5, something like that.
Okay.
And I was fast asleep in my dad's arms in the back seat, and then Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You" played on the radio. and I wake up at the
Stevie.
chorus and just start singing along.
Guys, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that song. I think
If
we
you don't
do,
know
right?
that song,
Do you want to
shame on
sing
you,
that
man.
song just for everyone to hear?
I just did the baby version.
this will definitely up the views though. Because Caleb and I both can't sing.
No, we can't
Oh, wow.
sing. Yeah, no. we
Yeah.
can't
I've-
sing.
oh yeah, I've not heard you sing. Oh,
You
okay.
don't want to.
Yeah, no.
I'll believe you. But yeah, so my dad says like everyone is just like, what on earth? Like this kid can't speak, so just blah, 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 blah. Like that one line, and I just went back to sleep.
Right.
So like I guess that music bug has been there for as long as I can remember. My dad used to be very into music as well, sing and play. Nothing professional, just like hobbies kind of thing.
Right.
So he definitely encouraged that whole thing. And then when I was 14 in secondary school, I started a band. And it's actually, not many people know, but it's pretty much the same band that became Paperplane Pursuit.
Okay. Wow,
So the
so
drummer and I were in a band together since 14 years old.
Dang.
Wow.
And we had
It's a long
different
relationship.
band names and like, this is the 90s where all these, long names and complicated names. This is just before the period of like, Panic at the Disco, or, Honey, I Bought, like all those weird punk long names. So this is the, like, things need to be a bit complicated, but not too long.
Yeah.
So that's the point where we were also going through like a rebrand at that point.
Right.
We were known as Silent Scream for many years.
Well, Silent Scream is intense.
Yeah. It's very intense on it. A lot of the
Wow.
music was a bit more intense
Okay.
also.
Yeah, so the name. So the name.
Yeah. So I think this was 2009, something like that,
Okay.
where we were like, okay, let's go in a different musical direction, different identity, everything. And then that's when we decided on the name Paperplane Pursuit. So the name is supposed to be a nod to like chasing childhood passion, like chasing paper planes.
Oh.
Okay.
But of course, in a way that nobody will get because we were very in our own heads. And
To be fair though, I always thought Paperplane Pursuit was such it like how some names just roll off your tongue
Yeah,
very
this is a
well.
very roll off the
I feel
tongue.
like Paperplane Pursuit because it's PPP.
also, I grew up reading a lot of comic books. So alliteration is, Peter Parker.
Right.
Give me another example that's not coming to my head right now. Miles Morales, whatever,
right.
Like that's such a comic book thing.
yeah.
So it was
Okay.
definitely that, like it had to be a PPP, yeah.
Cool.
Nice to know it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about. So now you basically got the
Sorry,
name.
I forgot you asked me the whole story. So,
Sorry, man.
so I graduated. I was just before I graduated high school. You have the conversation with your parents about what you want to study. So my dad said, it's time to decide what you want to do after school.
Yep.
So I thought about it and I was like, I want to do music. And my dad was like,
That is the like Asian parents allowing you to do music. It's
No, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not my dad. Yeah.
It's- yeah, so what-
my dad was like,
I don't know that
no,
story.
really, what do you want to study? So I was like, music's
okay.
not an option.
music,
no.
music is not in the
Oh, no.
category,
Nope. So I went back to the drawing board and strangely enough, I'll skip the details, but I decided to do accounting
Okay.
because I'd done my research and my goal was to finish studying as quickly as I could to go into music.
So
I there was this course called ACCA where if you
Yep.
do it in the fastest possible time, you can graduate everything in 3 years. No pre-degree, no post, no
Right,
whatever.
right.
Just like you're done, you're professionally qualified in 3 years. And that's it. So I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So I told my
Wow.
parents, and my parents like, makes no sense because I studied science in school. How do you know? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, this is what I'm gonna do. And by a miracle of God, I actually did finish it in 3 years. So I thought I've paid my dues. Now I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go do
fair.
music. But a bit of a plot twist happened was the dean of the program offered me a job as a lecturer. So I ended up lecturing ACCA for 3 years while trying to run my music career at the same time.
It's like he don't want to do it, but then he ended up being really good at it.
It was
That is
really
like the typical Asian child. Oh, I'm not really good at it. Oh, what's your grades?
I just do
100.
I just do accounting for fun.
It was I can't take credit. Like there was a lot of things that was just incredible
Right.
grace of God. There was an incredible mentor of mine.
Right,
Now I'm back in the hood in
Yeah,
Sunway
back in the
area. Shout out to Miss Menon if you happen to be watching.
Yeah.
Who really took me under her wing and mentored me and fast tracked my career. So
Right,
that's why things ended up going so well. And like I
That's
can't
so
take
crazy
credit.
though, like knowing that you're a musician now, but you also have a good accounting background. So that actually you can
proper-
actually
like a proper accounting
so you can
background.
actually do your balance sheets and make sure that everything is not in.
I'm honestly
red.
very grateful for it. So my logic when I was trying to decide, this is probably maybe somewhat biased by my perspective as an adult today. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but in my memory, my logic as a teenager when I was deciding what to study is I knew that I wanted to do music. And on a broader perspective, I knew I wanted to run my own business. And as far as I was thinking, like every business owner needs to know 2 main areas: law or legal matters and numbers. And law was too expensive. Family couldn't afford it. I didn't want to take too long, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I decided on numbers. So my logic being whatever I do, whether it's music or business, that knowledge would serve me. And it has actually. I'm very grateful.
Wow, amazing. That's so. I mean, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, dude. Like,
So okay. So
Yeah.
then there is the 3 years you did for ACCA. Then another 3 years you also
Lecturing.
as well. Then how did that transfer into?
By the end of the 3 years, I felt like my music career was going absolutely nowhere, and I was like burning at from both
Right,
ends,
right, right.
like just working around the clock. I remember sessions where I'd be doing music productions till like 3 in the morning, and then rush back home, shower, maybe get an hour of sleep, and then wake up and teach 9 hours of classes the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was
crazy.
very, very strenuous, and I reached a point where I was like, I can't do both.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I was like, I can always come back to lecturing later in life if I want to, but now's the time I want to do music, right? So I had the conversation with my boss, and he was very gracious. He said, like, you don't have to quit. Why don't you just take a sabbatical? Go do your music thing, and the door will be open for you to come back. So I said, really, like, I was very, very favored wherever I went.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm 100% sure I want to go do music. I want to quit. He was like, no, it's okay, don't quit.
You do
Just-
you. You
yeah,
do you.
but I think that's just to say, right? Good to have a safety net just in case.
Yeah, so looking back, if I was talking to a younger me as an adult now, I would have been like, no, don't quit. Take the generous offer you're given, because like you said, it's good to have a safety net. But I was full on bluster, like, no, I'm gonna go and I'll make it. So I did quit my job, and then it was a long couple of years of struggling. The band wasn't really making any real progress.
Right.
And then along the way, what happened was I sort of stumbled into doing voiceovers by accident.
Okay.
Someone asked me, like, a musician friend actually, he was working in one of these animation studios, and he said, hey, would you like to come in and do it? And I'd always done like funny voices for fun as a kid or in school or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I started doing that. I did that for about 2 years, and that helped to pay the bills a little bit while doing music. And then a school friend of mine, a senior of mine from school, we ran into each other, and he said, oh, like, you've got a lot of experience. You should start doing ads. That's where the real money is. It takes way less time. Because by this point, I was doing maybe like 6 hours a day of doing animation, dubbing and stuff, and then come back home and try and do music stuff. But the sort of through line through it all was I was very, very serious and disciplined about the whole music thing. Like when I quit my job, remember I studied accounting. I didn't do anything to do with music. So I gave myself like a 2-year period of like, I'm going to give myself a degree in sound engineering. Right. And this is before the days of you could find everything you wanted on YouTube. So I was just reading articles on like Sound on Sound magazine online, reading
But it's
books.
expensive though.
Sorry, I have no idea what Sound on Sound magazine
So
is. I
back in
do
the day,
apologize.
like Sound and Sound was this like legendary magazine that told you everything you needed to know. Like, this is how you record drums. This is how you place your mics. This is the new mic that's been introduced.
way.
Really like mind-blowing stuff. But expensive, like you said.
expensive.
So like I probably need to like, go to someone's studio and see it lying around. Hey, can I borrow?
Sound on Sound magazine.
wow.
So either I'd see it in like a studio and I'd borrow it,
Yeah,
or
'cause-
eventually like around this time they started doing an online version.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, thank God, like it's really
Physical
online.
copies, you can't get it. You have to like
Yeah.
order them in from
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't easy to find,
wasn't
yeah.
easy. You find them like some obscure studios.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Or like friends or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started reading those articles online. I'd buy books. I remember I had like a book on mixing and mastering and whatever. So it was proper regimented schedule. Like I'd wake up and start like maybe like 9 a.m. in the morning until like 6 p.m. lunch break or whatever, just studying to learn everything I could. And then after that, I started doing dubbing and all that. And along the way, this transition to doing voiceovers for ads, which was much better money, much more flexibility of time. Like your average recording is maybe an hour long.
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot more time to come back and focus on writing and production. And it was probably around only 2013, 2014 that the band started to take off and start to get some real mainstream recognition.
Right.
So it was a long period of slogging.
Long road.
Yeah, like just to like drive. I think generally, I feel like when you talk to, you hear any interviews, you hear your favorite artist, whatever. There's always this period of slogging that everyone talks about. But I'm always very curious as a person or as a musician who wants to be kind of at that level, right? I always want to like. And also, I don't really have a lot, like, I'm kind of like chill person. Motivation is the thing that I sort of lack a lot. So, I don't think there's a one-size-fit-all kind of answer. But what worked for you in terms of seeing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light, some days are good, some days are bad. But what kept you going, or what tips do you have for people who are like me, who don't really, or maybe everyone's perfect. But
You were touring
I'm just
drummer.
not. No, different.
You told in Germany, bro. You lie.
different. But like, as in like, how do you stay motivated, or how do you get through the bad days when things are tough and you don't see the light and sometimes you just want to give up? What really helped you?
Obviously, everyone's story is different. So, I can't pretend my story might work for everyone else. But I look back and I'm quite grateful for some experiences that a lot of it. For example, my parents insisting that I couldn't study music, right? So that forced me to go into a very different kind of a world of, like, ACC does not attract artistic people who are creative and whatever. And like that whole field is very slog kind of thing. And then going out into lecturing ACCA as well. Like there were people who were doing relatively relaxed part-time lecturing, but my mentor was not that sort. My mentor was like, if you want to do this, you aim to be the best. So like within, I think my second year of working, I was lecturing final year ACCA papers already because of the way she was pushing me. So I say that to say that like that sort of going into the chill mindset of, I will work when inspiration strikes. I was already not a part of that culture. When I started doing music full time, I was very a part of the, like, you need to get up and be disciplined and grind kind of culture. And in a way, like lecturing is an interesting preparation ground for performing because lecturing is a performance in many ways.
Yep.
Like, if you do an office job, you clock in, clock out, maybe you didn't get your work done, the person who'll know it will be your immediate boss or your supervisor or whatever. Nobody else will kind of know, except your teammates or whatever. Whereas if I don't prepare before a lecture and I go in, everyone in the class knows. Like 300 students are like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about,
Actually, yeah, that's so interesting. I never saw the parallel, but they are very parallel, actually.
It's in so many ways, it's just like being on stage as well, where you don't get to have a bad day and you go up there and like, I'm not in the mood to perform. You just put it on because you have to. And it was the same. Like I would see the attention span of my students diminish because I'm not in the right mood or, I wasn't adequately prepared. So maybe I'm a bit anxious and therefore I'm preoccupied. And then students can pick it up. Like I can see on their facial expression, they're like, man, like not fully engaged. Whereas when I know my stuff and I go in there and I deliver, like everyone has a good time. Everyone is like receiving really well and they learn a lot, that kind of thing. So all that to say that I didn't get the luxury of I'm going to take it easy because I had a recording last night and then therefore like people know immediately. So that kind of I need to take it seriously mindset already played a big part. And then the next big thing I would say is at that point when I looked at a lot of my peers, like I for a long time, actually I that never really changed. I felt quite isolated in the music industry. Like all of us had pretty serious careers, like the bandmates and all that. Most of our peers in the music industry were really chill. Like maybe I was just like right after school, I had decided to do music. So you maybe didn't study or they were studying music. So that kind of like much more fluid, relaxed kind of a vibe was happening. And I didn't really get everyone's mindset of like, I want to do music, so I'm just going to take it easy and enjoy it. Like that didn't make sense to me because in my mind, I was like, if you look at your typical career paths of, whatever, lawyer, accountant, engineer, doctor, or whatever, like these are not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a pretty set career path. Meaning if you do X, Y, Z, follow the path you're supposed to be on, you will achieve a certain degree of success. Music is like the exact opposite. This is like complete lottery. You make it, whether you don't make it. There's no clear path to follow. Nobody can give you a manual. And like, if you do step 1 to step 10, you will make it. It's not like that. So much of it is just luck of the draw, God's grace, whatever you call it. So in my mind, I was like, how can you take the uncertain lottery option and expect to work less than the certain option? It doesn't make any sense to me. Meaning if you want to give up the straight career path and do something risky, you have to work harder than these guys. Right. So these guys are working 9 to 9. I can't expect to work 3 hours a day and then just enjoy myself, smoke weed the rest of the day. Like all of that stuff made no sense to me. So I guess that was a big motivating factor for me.
Wow, that's so interesting. So I'm just hearing again like work ethic. Like even like back in your past, you were saying like you read Sound of Sound magazine, you were like working time and time. Do you feel like the work ethic was always instilled in you, or is it something you had to really work, like for the pun, but really work for it? Or like, where does that fit in for you?
A warning for deep answer coming up ahead. I think when I was younger, if you asked me this question, they would have been all positive. Like, I've always been quite driven and like, pretty serious about. Like I look back at even when I was just learning music lessons as a kid, like piano classes, for example, I'd just be like 1 hour straight slogging. No one's sitting there with a ruler making me do it. It's like if I get one mistake at the end of the piece, play the piece again. So all like that's probably a big part of my nature. Now I look back and I think it's not very healthy. Like I was always a little bit too driven.
Right.
Maybe I had some latent anxiety that I wasn't aware of. That like very performance thing of like if I don't perform, I don't have enough appreciation or value as a person. So a lot of my sense of self-worth came from that sort of overachieving mindset. And I think some kind of balance in between would be healthy.
Wow. That's,
So
yeah.
both Caleb and I studied music. So it's really, really interesting to actually hear how you're on that end where your parents like, no, maybe our parents not Asian enough. Or, yeah, because we got to still study music. But hearing that story of like, parents no, then you went to a totally different career path. And then you kind of built up until you got to do the thing that you really, really wanted to do. I think it's actually it's a very different type of story. And I think maybe I feel there are a lot of people who are in the same shoes as you. But the parents are going to be like, no, music or creative is not a viable career.
Yeah.
So what would you say, let's say for example, what would you say to John during that time? What kind of advice would you give? You know, in hindsight, after everything you've known already, what would you give yourself?
Meaning, assuming that
Assuming-
you're not allowed to study music,
Yes,
right?
yes.
First thing I think is, they say forbidden fruit tastes
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
If you study music, you know you're going to become a musician.
Yeah.
Whereas I wasn't given that option, right? So by the time I was earning a living, pretty much the main thing paying my bills was music. It was not a foregone conclusion. For me, it was like I woke up every day with the biggest smile on my face of like, oh, I'm so happy to be alive. And like I have many memories of waking up, having my morning coffee, just looking out my window going, God, thank you that I get to make music for a living. Wow. Like just
The appreciation
getting
level is different.
yeah, like because that wasn't the foregone conclusion that that's what I was gonna do.
Right.
So that in itself, I think there's a lot of beauty in it.
Right.
And this whole mindset of like going back to school and teaching, this has always been like I really enjoy. I don't think it's like a discipline thing. I just really enjoy learning.
Right.
I love not knowing something and then
Yep.
crossing over to the other side where I'm like, wow, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So all these years later, I think around COVID time, I gave same like about a 2 or 3 year period for myself to study music theory. Well, now YouTube University is a thing,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, I don't have to go and rent magazines and books and whatever. I'm just going to watch every YouTube video that I can find, just so that I don't have to go and go back to uni or whatever lah. So again, because I didn't study music theory in college or whatever, right? At this stage of my life, like I might make sense of something like modal interchange.
Right,
So okay, the person explains something, then when I apply it in the song, I'm just like a little kid again. I'm like, okay, it's so cool. Like I used to do this before, but I couldn't understand what it was, and I was just like very hearing based of like I feel like this chord goes well. I don't know why.
I don't know why,
and how
but
can it
it
work?
just works.
But like, and at that point, I came up with a lot of my peers were like, "Oh, music theory is lame, man. You got to go by feel, that kind of thing."
Right.
And I maybe I was somewhat influenced by that. I don't really remember. But coming over to like, I want to have the tools so that I can choose to utilize those tools at my disposal when I want to. When I want to go by feel, I can. So all of these little things that I never got to do still give me so much joy and excitement.
So a lot of passion fuels it all.
Yeah, and coming back to your question, the answer is there is always good out of whatever so-called bad is happening. So you don't get to study music, but one day when you do get to do music, you appreciate it like crazy. Right. You don't learn something that maybe your peers got to learn, but you can always go back and learn it on your own.
True.
And I'm somewhat biased in the sense of like I do feel the struggle, like something that you all might like. I often have this conversation with Caleb. Caleb and I go to the same church, right? So the guys playing on stage in worship rehearsal, they might be calling out chords, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to follow along, and I'll tell Caleb, like Caleb be like, yeah, like it's like duh for him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell him like, like I never really learned to recognize. I'm still trying to work on my relative pitch kind of thing, which is for people. Some guys listening might be like, what? This many years as a musician, you can't do this.
My first year.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I learned this like 20 years ago. So there is a struggle because I didn't get to learn, but I also see it in the other way of like learning accounting, for example. If you're a musician for 20 years, then you want to learn accounting, you want to learn like legal stuff, how to read contracts. That's another huge learning curve.
Yeah.
Whereas I covered all that in the first 3 years of my career, or my education. I'm like, okay, it's okay. There's always pros and cons.
Wow, I mean, that's crazy. I think what I really love about you, John, is that you have just a joy and a new perspective of things. So like for everyone who's listening, actually for me, John was my mentor. I don't know why I'm doing this, but he
Mentor.
mentor. No, but actually, John, I remember when I first met John, I was like, oh, I know of him. I know this guy.
Right.
Used to do music and stuff like that. But then I think I was just really drawn to his servanthood to just come and serve. Because for me, because I lead the sound team at HTBB, and when Min, who is the creative director at HTBB, introduced me to John and said he wanted to join the sound team, I felt in a very awkward place because I was like, here's this guy who has done all music, who's know probably everything in the daylight of sound more than me, at least from what I know. It's very weird for me to like, no, wait, you coming on the sound team and like I'm trying to lead you, like it just didn't make sense to me. But I think what sort of really spoke like really like shot out to me was your level of like just servanthood and be like, hey, even though I know everything, probably, and like
I never said that, by the way.
Yeah, disclaimer.
it's just
make up
me
stuff.
assumption, like at least you know more than me, but like you're still like willing to like kind of serve and in the way capacity that we would like to serve at HTBB. And even like the first few times when you were on team, like you were like, oh, how does this work? How does that work? And I think for me, that really like inspired me to like want to ask you to be my mentors, because no matter how much you know, you're always a student in life and in music. I think that I remember that in my uni days, my lecturer would always tell me, hey, the most important thing is always never stop being a student. And I think just by hearing you have such a new perspective, and I think that's why I feel like, oh, I can learn so much from you, and like you're sort of someone I look up to, and why we should definitely, first person I thought, and if both Johnson and I thought to have on the podcast, is that you, no matter how, we can go on your accolades, and we'll list a lot of it in the description down below. But I think just to say that you also come from me at a very humble, like you're almost starting from day one again, and I think that just speaks volume of the person that you are, the perspective that you have, and just that level of like drive that you have. I think that's such, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot to learn there. I'm still like processing it as I'm talking as well, but yeah, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say.
So
it also takes a big person to go up to someone and say, can you mentor me? Not many people can do that. And I'm always inspired when I see someone have that humility and like, hey, can you be my mentor? Such a wonderful thing.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks
for being Caleb's mentor. Mentorship programs now.
No,
start now, please.
No, cannot.
Okay.
Closed for application.
Just reserve for Caleb for now. Then Caleb will open up. Then
you can be Caleb's downline.
There's a link below. You can sign up to John O's professional masterclasses. But like, I think nowadays accessibility and maybe what people can study. I think studying something creative is probably more. It's not such a taboo anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to convince your parents it's hard. They can just be like, I talk to some of these newer, younger kids, and they want to study anything, they can just do whatever they want. So, would you recommend? Let's say a kid came up to you, 15-year-old, maybe just about to finish his SPM, say, "Hey man, you're the music guy. Should I study music? Should I make this my career?" What would you say to this person? Would you say, yeah, you should study music, or you should be like, no, anything you do don't come inside?
I think I've always approached music from a very entrepreneurial background. Meaning, even if you're just a sessionist, you're still an entrepreneur. People might say freelancer, but basically you're running your own business, right? So I definitely come from the bias of whatever area of music you do, most probably you're going to end up being some kind of entrepreneur. Is being a full-time employee as a musician is probably quite rare. So having that kind of entrepreneurial background, understanding business, understanding numbers, understanding legal jargon, understanding how to read a contract, and not look at a contract and start sweating and like, I don't know what is this. Call your dad, call your lawyer friend. Like just looking at a contract and not sweating. Like all of these are really vital skills to have. So I think my answer would really be tailored to the person I'm talking to. Like if I can see you're bouncing off your seat talking about music, super passionate, right? Then in my mind, I'm like, you'll always have that passion for music, probably. So do you have the passion to go and study law and how to read contract? Probably not. That one, maybe you need someone forcing you, like going to college, getting a degree. And in my case, for example, after I did all of that stuff and checked all the boxes, there's still that passion. There's still that passion today to go and learn, watch YouTube videos to learn about music. Like that passion never really goes away. So I feel like having that kind of safety, as Caleb put it, Asian parents love that safety net, right? Going and getting a degree, especially when you're like, 18 years old, 3 years is nothing.
Yeah.
Like 3 years of your life is absolutely nobody's going to move on with their life and forget about you by the time you're 21.
Right.
But if you're like 40 years old and you want to give up 3 years of your life, that's like, I got bills to pay, I got family to feed, whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
So getting those things that you don't want, like maybe just get it out of the way first is probably a good idea. So that's probably what I would say to someone who's like super passionate. There are also other people who like, their personality is like, I can't do anything else. Like you ask me to go degree, I'll be miserable and then I won't study, I won't go to classes. So I think it depends on personality as well. In which case, like going and doing music is not some sin, like you said. There's a lot of different areas of music as well, whether you're studying music production, music theory, songwriting, all like different areas that you could be exploring, right? So depending on who it would be. Then the next thing would be, I'd probably sit down and ask, like, when you say you want to have a career in music, what do you mean exactly?
Right.
Like, do you picture yourself as a rock star on a stage? Or do you picture yourself like, as long as, I've heard a lot of people tell me, as long as I'm making a living doing anything music related, I'd be very happy. I think Caleb said this to me once. I had this conversation with Caleb and I was like, actually, what do you want? And Caleb's answer was, as long as whatever is paying the bills is something related to music, I'm good.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that changes things very significantly.
Right, different perspective.
True.
Yeah.
But I think what you say, if I can interrupt, is that's so important. Like define your expectations. But I think we all have seen that one John Mayer video where he says, define your expectations. And I was like, whoa, in that Berkeley College video. But I think I didn't understand that back then. But I think now when I like grow a bit more and have a bit more perspective, that's so important. Like, what is your expectation? Like, I think you hit on it like so well. Define your expectations. Yeah,
because I think there are a lot of like, stuff is a lot more, the internet is explosive and, everybody's a content creator, everybody wants to do creative. Maybe nobody wants to do all the tough stuff.
Yeah.
So I think these are kind of like the questions that people want to know. Should I do this, but I can't live without it? So I think having perspective, understanding kind of really what your goal is at the end. But I guess if you're like 15, 16, maybe not everybody might be as driven.
Yeah, and you might not even be able to articulate that clearly, which is where the older person digging.
Exactly. So would you say it's better to at least have somebody just to maybe give you some advice on the matter rather than just kind of deep dive straight into it?
I think if I look back at, especially my maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, my younger life, right? I was much more focused on like, let me tell you what you need to know.
Yep.
Whereas I think the older I get, I'm a bit more like, let me ask you the right questions and leave you to ponder it.
Okay.
So, for example, like I said, if the person's like all, I want to be a rock star on a stage, that kind of thing, right? Then my questions, I'm very biased by what's happening in the person's heart rather than the specifics. So I want to study music, not study whatever. Like, okay, what's happening inside actually?
Right.
So then if you're like, I want to be on stage or whatever, in my mind, I end up going towards, actually, you want the attention, you want the fame.
Right.
And what is driving that? I remember when I was younger, I read this quote by Bono from U2, right? And he said, I've wanted to be a rock star on stage for as long as I can remember, probably like my entire teenage life onwards, right? So I read this quote where he says, like, normal people don't have a desire to have 10,000 people screaming their name. That's not normal. Like, you have to have some deficiency in your heart to desire that.
Right.
And I look back and I see that for myself. Like, to want that kind of attention is weird.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm talking to a younger kid, then I would be doing that digging as to actually why? Why do you want that attention?
Right.
And I think this conversation is really pertinent because I see it now. Like when I was a teenager, maybe I'd be thinking about getting famous. But Gen Alpha, I hear this kind of thing at like 7 years old, 6, 9, where like if I ask a kid, it's such a common thing. You ask a kid, what do you want to be? I want to be a YouTuber. And you're like, what? Why? Like, I hope my niece doesn't hear this and get angry at me one day.
Kill my dreams.
I had this conversation with my niece. You can edit it out in here. My niece is 8 years old. I think this was a year ago, so she was 7, right? And she asked me, I just sort of like started like writing music again. I was like, maybe I want to start making music. So, but I had not told anybody about this, right? So my niece out of the blue has a conversation with me and she's like, hey, do you think you'll ever get back into music? So I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. So I said, yeah, actually, I am kind of thinking about it right now. And then she's like, oh, so would you have a YouTube channel once you put out music? So I was like, probably, yeah. I'm not really thinking about it right now. I'm just making music for the enjoyment of it. In my mind, kind of wondering like, wow, where's this conversation going? And she's like, then I'm like, I think I know where this is going. Then she's like, so once you put out your videos on YouTube, can I be on your YouTube channel? And I was like, why? why would you be on my YouTube?
How would you be on my channel?
Like, and she was like, huh? Like, she thought it was like a foregone conclusion because you're my uncle. And I was like, no. Like, people come to my YouTube channel because they want to see me. And if my music's good, there's nothing to do with you, bro.
That's the whole thing right now. Everyone's like, hey, do you want to collab? Do you want to collab? Hey, do you want to collab? Hit me up, we want to collab. I'm like, bro.
Just literally asking you, do you want to collab?
And yeah, we've all heard.
8 years old.
Correct. We've all heard these conversations. We know what it's like. But to hear a little kid ask you, you're like, whoa, this mindset of I want to be famous is like getting younger and younger and younger. So yeah, like whatever age the person I'll be talking to, I'll be digging to like, what?
Right. So the questions are more important to you and me at this point of life.
Yeah.
Rather than just, okay, I'm going to tell you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but like, now it's like, oh, why do you want to do it?
And I think that more than anything else, that comes from a undoing of the pride of I have the answers for you.
Okay.
Whether you're my niece or whether you're a random person whose dad has asked you to come talk to Uncle John or whatever, like I think I'm undoing the pride of I know what you need to know. I have the answers. And more like maybe if I ask you the right questions, the answer will come to you. Maybe Holy Spirit will speak to you. Whatever it is, it's not going to come from me necessarily. Yeah.
Damn. I have a follow-up question on that. So, given that we talked about all that, what are the 3 unconventional rules or advices or tips that you have? It has to be 3 and it has to be unconventional that you would give a 15-year-old, 21-year-old, 30-year-old, career change, career break, that you would advise if they're thinking about starting a music or a career shift or whatever that may look like. What are the 3 unconventional rules or tips that you have experienced that worked that you could share? Obviously, again, there's no formula, there's no rule, one size fit all type thing.
Right.
But what are your 3 unconventional things that you've learned that you can share with us?
Okay, let me try and list the 3 things first and then explain so I don't ramble. First thing is inspiration is made, not received.
Okay.
Second thing is there's no replacement for discipline. And the third thing would be open.
Okay.
Maybe like, or don't be too rigid.
I feel like you're mentoring me now again.
Oh, wow. this is wait till maybe the
It's actually a
explanation.
private session, actually.
Maybe you hear the explanation and you're like, nah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Tell us more. Like, that's like, wow, that's really interesting.
Okay, so the inspiration part comes from the typical mindset of, I'll write a song when inspiration strikes and or I will do like random things because that will, whenever I do that, then, hopefully I'll be a bit more inspired.
Yep.
So I feel like that kind of thing you can go 10 years without inspiration. And let's just say you're a songwriter, you call yourself a professional songwriter. 10 years later, you haven't written a song. You're not a songwriter anymore. You're just bumming around in your mom's basement kind of thing, like as the Americans would say. So you got to make your own inspiration. So part of the way that I would do it, which kind of ties into number 2, right, is during, especially the most successful, usually people, when you're successful, then you take it easy and you just take a step back. During the most successful years of Paperplane Pursuit's career, we really took it quite like a day job. Like we would show up at 9 a.m. and we'll clock out at like 6 p.m.
Right.
So a lot of those times, what is the goal from 9 to 12? The goal is to write a song. So you're not sitting around having a conversation like, wow, this gives me an idea for a song. Let me go back home to the studio. It's like you're sitting there for the purpose of when inspiration strikes, you're already ready. The instrument is there. And sort of sub point to this is making sure that there's as little friction as possible towards inspiration. I learned this from my ex-keyboardist, shout out Wenjan. Once after he left the band, but we remained like really close friends, best friends to this day. He came and visited me in my studio and he was like, he's super efficient guy. He's a lawyer, but always been really efficient and creative. So he looks at my studio setup and he's like, hey, so right now you've got inspired to write a song. What are you going to do? Like, just act it out for me. So I was like, oh, like, I was going to explain. He's like, no, just do it. Don't talk. So, okay. So I pick up my guitar and then I plug in the cable to my sound card. Then I open my DAW and then, you know what it is, right? Then he's like, he watches the whole thing like happen and he goes, too many steps, man. Like, there's too much friction. So it's like, keep your guitar plugged in, keep your door open, all of this stuff so that inspiration strikes. Maybe you've got 2 steps, open door, click record, done. Like have a template ready so that you're not opening from scratch, create new wave track, whatever, like too many steps. So your creating the routines and systems so that inspiration is a thing that can routinely happen, and then there's as little friction as possible. Then the second sub point to this would be, I say, creating inspiration, right? So for me, I would pay attention or reverse engineer, like, a really productive day, maybe like in 10 minutes, this wonderful song popped up, song demo. So when that happens at the end of the day, I'll kind of like, or maybe the next day, I'll kind of reverse engineer, okay, what did I do that happened? So one of the things that I noticed was if I have a really nice cup of coffee, that tends to put me in a good mood and get inspired. So when it's time for me to write music, I sit down with a nice cup of coffee. Another thing would be changing of scenery is often something that inspires me. So if I'm stuck in the studio for too long, I will not plan a day of driving around for the entire day because now my songwriting time is gone, right? Maybe I'll just drive to a cafe to get that nice cup of coffee or take a nice drive. All of these things that check whatever box you notice gives you inspiration. You start replicating these things so that inspiration is something that is repeatable and you can happen consistently.
Very intentional.
Correct. Not let me sit and wait for the right vibe, the right rainbow in the sky and the clouds have parted and like, oh, now I feel inspired, So that is the first thing, which I kind of alluded to. The second thing, which is there's no replacement for discipline. No mood, got mood, you got to do something. And then you work around like, maybe 9 to 6 during the 3-hour window, nothing good came out of it, but it's okay. I practiced muscle, I practiced the instrument, or maybe I did something else. I reply emails from show inquiries or whatever, but that is work time. You can't get around that. Like likewise for anybody who's just a musician who's playing the instrument, your shredding time. Sorry, there's no replacement for it. You just gotta put in the hours. And like I said, if the doctor, lawyer, whatever guy is spending 12 hours a day at work, can't expect to spend any less time than that. What was my third thing?
Openness.
Be open. I think I look back at a lot of my music career years, or just life in general, and I was very rigid to things need to be done this way, and a lot of band clashes, which just end up out of being in a band. I had one of my bandmates, my drummer, his name is Andrew. We often had very opposing ways of thinking and doing things, and I was like, no, my way is correct, and he kind of like, sure, fine. And you could look back at the band's career and go, well, it worked out, the band did well. But I look back and I think I could have benefited from taking his point of view for a lot of things, being a bit more flexible with how I thought things needed to be done, being open to other people's feedback. I had really great feedback from people who took the time to come out to me and give me advice, from 18, 19, that maybe 15 years later, I was like, that made sense. Huh?
I should have listened. Should have wrote that down.
If only I wasn't so arrogant and nah, I know it all, you old fart, Yeah. Right. So being open, yeah.
Thanks, man.
3 golden nuggets.
Yeah, I think that's.
The work ethic, I think that's what I'm really, really hearing. Just be disciplined, put in the hours, put in time. It's a job.
Yeah, no, and I think for me also, that really speaks to me because I'm a natural. Because I think for me, as a drummer, I'm gifted with the thing where I can hear something back once and I play back. So I think for me, the discipline thing has been always a challenge for me because I can get things very easily. So why do I need to spend hours on it? But sometimes I'm always just chill out, everything really. But I think just hearing that with whatever that you said really inspired me to actually know I should be more disciplined given that I have this kind of thing. I should work even faster and be disciplined. And it's actually those small little things all little small things adds up to a big thing. I think Marco Pierre White, who is a chef, said perfection is little things done right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so key that even when we do perform, it's actually not the one feel that, as drummer terms, it's not that one feel you play or one quote-unquote chop that you play that really stands out. It's actually how you play the song. It's every single hit, every single timing, your internal timing that you don't really, it's not obvious, but it's so key to you at being a good drummer and a great drummer. So I think just hearing that really sort of just inspired me to hey,
put in hours.
Put in hours, and it's just discipline, and I see it as a job and not just because I think for me, if I can dive in,
if I can pause you,
go.
Maybe I was leaning a little bit too hard in the discipline grind direction, right?
Yeah.
I heard this saying when I was in school: "Good is not good where better is expected."
Well, wait, again.
Good is not good where better is expected.
Good is not good where better is expected.
Meaning, it's basically I want to be the enemy of good enough.
Okay.
So I think a lot of the what sounds like just discipline comes from the undoing of my own arrogance and pride of I'm good. Right. and sort of opening my mind to like, actually, what else is there? So I'll give you an example. You and I geek out about groove quite a lot, right?
Yeah, sure.
For a non-drummer, a lot of my music career, like I prided myself in being really good with timing. Even as a singer, like I sing with a percussive nature
Sure.
of like you should feel the drums in my voice, right?
Yeah.
Never late, never behind. When I'm playing, it's the same thing, right? So for me, good enough, or what I thought was good enough, was timing is really, really good. And it's very late in my music career. I would say like maybe like 2 years after the band started doing well, that the idea of groove was introduced to me by our bassist then. His name is the Chief.
Yep.
And he was studying music and ICOM at that point. So he was learning all the funk bass grooves and all that. And he was explaining to me all these little nitty-gritty things of, when the snare is a bit later than the... Then I was just like, what do you mean? Like on time is on the grid. Then
It's on time, guys.
yeah, it's not on time. If
in Malaysia.
If it's past the grid, means it's late, Like, then he explains it to me, he shows it to me, and I'm like, whoa, feel groove. This whole world that I had never experienced.
Yeah.
And suddenly, good enough, being on time wasn't good enough.
Right.
And that's something that I'm still learning to this day of like, I might play something, I'd be like, this is on time. Then I'm like, but does it feel good? The stuff that you and I geek out about.
Exactly,
so that feeds into the, now I want to spend the hours to get better.
Yeah. No,
Sorry, I
true.
interrupted you.
No. I think which is so true actually. So yeah. So I think I'm just super inspired by that really, because I think I'm at a place of my career where like sometimes you just get very demotivated in terms of like you put in the hours, or sometimes you don't even want to put in the hours. But just hearing that sort of helps me like actually no, like I do need to put in hours, and not necessarily for the output of like what, but it's just this is a job, and whether you get fame, you don't get fame, you get gigs, but it's just like a never-ending pursuit of the love of the craft that keeps you going. So yeah, no,
Well said, man.
that's super inspiring, John.
Yeah,
That is very well said.
Thank you.
I think the only other sort of aspect of that I haven't really touched on is, and this is very specific to a Christian listening, there's a passage in the Bible where Paul talks about everything that you do it as worship to God. And I think about that a lot when whether it's serving on sound as a, just a volunteer position or playing music, like, and it's a bit of an undoing because like I said, I came from that, I want to be famous, I want to be on stage, rock star, blah, 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 to now, like, probably the only person who has heard a lot of music that I've written in the last year is Caleb. So I sent to him like, hey, you want to play drums? So it's actually just the Christian cliche of writing for the audience of one or playing for the audience of one has been such a relearning thing for me. So like what you're describing about that, that I feel the same thing. Like sometimes just demotivated. Then like I said, does it feel good? Then you play something that feels good, and I have this moment where I'll just pause and I'll smile like, well, thank you for the gift of music. Like thank you, Father, and that. Just doing it well becomes my act of worship. Doesn't matter where anyone hears it, whether it's going to output anywhere. Right. There's still worship, and I can feel his smile on me. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So we talk about a lot of the past. We talk about actually a lot talk about past love, but now let's move a bit forward into current and future. So what is current and future John O looks like?
Wow. Honestly, I'm still figuring that out. I think I'm undoing, when you're a typical driven guy who's like 5-year plan, 5-month, 5-day, I have 5-minute plan, 10-year plan.
Well, I mean, our plan next is just go eat chicken rice lah.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
That's the plan lah.
That's where I am right now. Like my plan is pretty much what am I going to do today, and then that's it. And I feel like it's a necessary undoing from, like all of my plans have pretty much gone out the window. Everything that I thought I would be doing at this point in my life is not at all what it is. Yeah. And I'm kind of enjoying that liberation. I do sort of fall into sometimes what's going to happen? Then I come back into that. It's okay. Like I'm enjoying the beauty of living one day at a time right now. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but the day today is I started enjoying music again. I started writing music again. Right. Thankfully, work is going well, but looking back into more creative stuff, looking back, not past, but coming back into looking at creative stuff, public life. This is actually a big deal for me because this is the most public thing I've done in years. Like after
He's like,
Okay, John, you have to know that we only have like about 72 followers on Instagram.
for now.
No.
720.
72 is still more public for me than anything because I felt like I need to step away from when Paperplane Pursuit retired. Like, no, nothing public, no, nothing big, small, whatever. I haven't even been on social media in more than a year, I think. So this is like the most public thing that I've done.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you,
I mean,
man.
we really do
We really
feel,
appreciate it.
Yeah, we don't take it for granted for
Hey,
sure.
neither
Thank
do
you,
I,
thank
yeah.
you, thank you.
Yeah, so that kind of I feel like it's time to start, stepping out into the public a little bit more. But what that looks like, I have no clue beyond this podcast.
Keep it open, keep it open.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I say
Practicing
be
what I
open,
preach,
right?
being open,
Yeah,
less
wow.
rigid.
No, that's so wow. I'm still just trying to process all that you just spoken. Is a lot.
Trying to think about the ways kind of like put that into my
Yeah.
workflow right now.
Yeah. Same as well.
I think there's a lot of things that it's really encouraging to hear, especially like you said, a lot of people who are in this industry or in this line, sometimes you can just feel like a wish-wash of like, it's like
Yeah.
anything lah. But it's very refreshing to actually hear you say, you got to kind of have, at least know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Find your passion in it all over again. You're not also just doing it just because it's a job, but also doing it for the enjoyment of it also as well.
Yeah.
But then you gotta put things into perspective, lah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm really really enjoying this conversation.
I think something you said reminded me also like, you got to guard your heart against people speaking death against your dreams, but also know when that's not what's happening. So I mentioned that I had a lot of people who said, some people would have said, "Nah, you got to go solo. Like the band is not it." That kind of advice, or you can't make a living doing music, that kind of thing, right? I realized that it's good to know like this is what I want to do, and people who speak the opposite is like I just need to guard my heart and I don't want to be receiving that downer energy and then going home depressed kind of thing.
Yep.
But I also look back and I realized there were a lot of well-meaning people who that's not what they were trying to do. It was good advice, but I was like I said so rigid and fixed on my way is the only way. You don't know. So I think that is something I would say to someone younger. Like be discerning enough to know when people are just pouring cold water in your dreams, and that you have to guard. Whether it's the closest person who means the best for you, your family. I'm not saying go and shout and dishonor your parents or whatever.
Dishonor.
Like,
Yeah,
but,
don't do that, guys.
you listen and you listen, but in your heart, you go like, I know this is what I want to do and this is for me, and just guard that. But also know when people mean well and it's time to, open your perspective a little bit more and go, oh, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Because passion is not something that's going to stay alive on its own. Like, you got to guard that passion.
So true. So on that, since you say you've found it, you're coming back to music, you're finding the love for creating, songwriting. So if you could give us some recommendation of who you're currently listening to, who you love, what's on the John O top 5 playlist at the moment that you're like, that's good songs?
As you know, I actually went through a really long period of not listening to music at all. I just felt like I needed to step away from. I think I've studied artists who say that that's very often when their best work comes up. Like I've heard Pharrell Williams say the same thing. Like most of the time when he's written a hit song, he's just gone months without listening to the radio or Spotify or whatever, like at all. It was partially that, and partially I just felt like I needed to sort of detox. But interestingly, I wouldn't say an artist, but for some reason, every time I listen to something and I find like, ooh, this is really exciting, it's almost always something that's pretty soul tinged, retro kind of a vibe. Jungle would be an example, the band Jungle. Or it's actually something from the 70s. Give me an example. Some Motown kind of artist. Like that's always the stuff that I will somehow play and I'll be like, yeah. It's,
A good song, Rock With You by Michael Jackson.
yes.
Classic.
I was going to say Human Nature.
Nature.
Do you know, fun fact about...
Same album, if I remember,
But
right?
do you know, actually, fun fact, Human Nature is actually written by Toto, who
So-
is completely like not pop
So-
in that realm.
Funner fact, a lot of Michael Jackson's hits from that era are written and performed by Toto. Like it's the actual Toto guys who are playing it.
Crazy.
It's all Toto guys.
It's crazy. I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like every time there's that kind of Steve Lukather guitar vibe, I'm just like, it's so nice.
Steve stuff is.
Yes.
and I can't put it, I don't know whether, and you probably need to fact check, I don't know whether Jeff Porcaro was still around. Because
I was wondering the same thing just as you were saying it. I don't know
if
actually.
he is, then feel is like, because the feel of those
the
records
feel.
are like crazy. But the annoying thing about Jeff Porcaro is that,
Annoying thing,
well, yeah, annoying but good. Because he says
Everything about him is annoying, man.
Yeah.
Annoyingly good.
Exactly, because he would say something like, yeah, you just do this, you just do this. I think he was talking about Rosanna, which is like the iconic
Yes,
shuffle song,
yes,
right?
yes.
And he's like, yeah, you just mix this, and he just plays it. I'm like, no, bro. Like, just
Actually, that's a perfect example of what I was
Crazy.
talking about of like going from like, oh, I want to learn to. When I was younger, I'd be like, oh, I want to be like Dream Theater. I was never anywhere near Dream Theater.
But
But
I actually so funny because when I grew up, I want Mike Portnoy is like
Mike Portnoy
my
was your-
dude. I'm glad he's back at Dream Theater.
Yeah,
but,
me too, me too.
But he's like I think it was like when I was 10 years old. Everyone was going to the gospel charts. I was like, nah, man, Mike Portnoy,
Portnoy is-
5'4", 12'8", 16'8", 2 bass drums.
I
let's
do
it,
still
man.
have quite a love of one-time signatures
Yes.
thanks to him.
So maybe two bass drums back again.
three, bro.
Three just
Three.
to
You got to have that, ridiculous 15-tom setup.
Exactly, and like you only play like two tones at one point.
song gig.
But no, I was gonna say like coming from like I want to be John Petrucci to like not like Steve Lukather can't absolutely shred, but you listen to something like Human Nature, it's like I can easily play that. It's like 2-3 notes at most. But can I play it like him?
Yeah.
No, not even
You
close.
can play that, but can you play it
Yes,
like that?
exactly. So like
It's totally
that's
different.
very much what's this kind of stuff that's inspiring me now. It's like simple stuff that's so well executed,
Right.
and also I've always been. It didn't occur to me until I started studying music theory more intentionally. My big thing for most of my music career was I was always very into pop music, but
Right.
I like what I would call maybe cerebral pop music,
Right.
which is clever stuff or actually complicated stuff that's disguised in a very simple container.
Right.
So you listen, you're like, oh, simple pop song. But if you listen to the chorus, you're like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah.
So a lot of artists that still inspire me are like Michael Jackson's definitely one of them, the Beatles, Beach Boys, all stuff, or Queen, where you're like, yeah, simple 2-minute pop song. You listen to the songs, you're like, man, this would never be a hit today. It's so complex and complicated. That's still the stuff that gets me like, yeah, I'm so excited.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, I mean, we don't take up too much of your time, John.
Yep.
Thank you so much for just chatting with us and sharing your advice. I feel like I've learned a lot just by
Wow.
listening, and like I think that's why I always love grabbing coffee with you, having lunch or whatever.
Likewise.
It's just to just hear and just be like, every time I walk away from a coffee, I'm like, hey,
Learn something.
yeah, I learned something. I feel like, it's kind of like the nicest slap in the back, but then like encouraging as well. So like, I think
That's good.
It's
It's
a
a good
slap
combo.
forward.
Wow, I like that. I'm going to start using that.
You get slapped forward.
Can I slap you forward?
Slap forward. Yeah, but no, like,
Thank
is
you,
there anything you wanted to close with in terms of you want to share with us? You want like push things or leave us with a mic drop moment or however you like to close? Because we're obviously still rebranding, so we don't really have a closing segment. But just on top of my head, I was like, hey, why don't you close us off since you sort of like
Make
gave us
him
so
do
much
his own
advice?
intro, make him close us off.
Yeah, bro.
The-
It's
the-
like the
why
way
not,
the
right?
John O
Your lead
podcast,
up
man.
makes me sound like I should close in a word of prayer or something.
Don't. Well, I mean, you can.
No,
I mean,
it's just what it sounded like.
Yeah, it just sounded like
right, guys. Now we're just gonna put out your hands.
bring out. We'll just
Come on.
we'll put in a piano and post.
And like the pads.
The pads will
So
fit in
G,
now.
C.
No, just the pad, just the tonic, just no movement. It's just
No movement.
just
Yeah, but as in, is there anything you like? Yeah, why don't you close us off the podcast? Close the episode off.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Probably the most I've spoken about my past and my life story in a very long time. So it's really enjoyable. Thank you for keeping me inspired and keeping me young, I think. I really enjoy the conversations that we have because very often you are also slapping me forward. Like I was
thanks, man.
very honest about the fact, I'm not motivated for music. And then Caleb be like, go listen to this. And it was a pleasure talking to you for the first time, actually.
This is an extended
Literally the
conversation.
first time.
I feel like I know a lot about you right now.
I wish I got to know more about you, but we can do that over chicken rice after this.
Over chicken rice.
Chicken rice.
But I think I already said way too much verbal diarrhea all over this conversation.
So, if you want to sign up for John's management and leadership course after this, his
That's
mentorship
right.
program.
Go to www.johnodoesn'texist.com.
I think
Great, man, yeah.
maybe now it's just more the QR code, right? No one really searches a link
Yeah,
anymore.
Shows
Yeah,
shows
showing my
our
yeah.
age.
That's right. That's right.
Links. What is this?
URL? What is URL? So suddenly become a very rambly close. I don't think it's having the mic drop moment you were
No,
hoping
it's okay.
for.
You know what? I think we'll just close here. Again,
Yeah.
thanks so much, John. Thanks so
Yes.
much for
And,
Thanks for having
taking
me.
the time.
Pleasure being here.
And thanks for
Yeah.
we are now in a cafe called Greyskymorning GSM.
Yes.
It's allowed us to be here to do our podcast. We like a little bit of sunlight.
Yes, exactly.
Coffee was
If
great
you're
too, by the way.
here,
Thanks. The
This-
matcha is good.
Matcha is good. This
very
yuzu
good.
is great.
Yeah.
This thing is here. It's not a prop.
He looks like a
real
pro.
It's actually really, really good.
Yep.
But it's been sitting here a moment. But yeah.
Yeah. So, but and just so you know, well, we release episodes every month.
Yes.
And then we're also on IG called the Bobby Choo Podcast. Also,
Yes.
we're on TikTok called TBC Pod.
Yep.
And then obviously our YouTube channel is
Caleb
called the
does
Bobby
dances
Choo
there.
Podcast. Sorry, I don't dance. There's no dance.
If you
there's
want
no
Caleb to
dancing.
dance on TikTok to all your famous.
Don't.
John can score it.
Yeah.
And I can film
You don't want Caleb to dance.
But yeah, guys, we'll
Yeah.
see you on the next
Thank you so much,
episode
guys.
next month of the Bobby Choo Podcast. And thanks for tuning in. And we wrap.
Cool. Dope. Thank you so much, man.
Hey, that's so cool, bro.